Dad perfect events. The bourbon was still warm in my throat when my phone rang, cutting through what should have been the most peaceful evening of my 58 years. My son Derek's voice had that familiar edge that comes from someone who's never actually worked for anything but thinks the world owes him everything. Dad, we need to talk about the cabin situation. Melissa and I have been discussing it, and we think you're being selfish keeping all that space to yourself. Let me back up and tell you how this mess started. I'm Rick Coleman, and 3 months ago I sold Coleman Engineering Solutions, the mechanical engineering firm I'd built from scratch over 30 years. The buyers paid $1.8 million cash, and after Uncle Sam took his cut, I had enough to do exactly what I dreamed about during those 60-hour work weeks: buy my retirement cabin in the Colorado mountains and disappear from the corporate grind forever. The cabin was everything I'd fantasized about during those brutal project deadlines. 4,000 square feet of solid log construction perched on 20 acres of pine forest, complete with a fully equipped workshop behind the main house, hunting trails winding through the property, and enough space to finally build all those projects I'd been sketching for decades. The workshop alone was my pride and joy, a separate building with every tool a retired engineer could want, from precision lathes to welding equipment. I'd been there exactly 6 hours when Derek called. Dad, Melissa's family, is flying in next week for vacation. Her parents, her brother's family, her sister and her boyfriend, that's 9 people total. We're going to need you to move into the guest room so they can have the master suite and main bedrooms. I actually laughed. Derek's son, this is my house. If you want to visit, we can work out some dates that work for everyone. No, you don't understand. We already booked their flights. They're expecting luxury accommodations, and that guest room has a perfectly good mountain view. You'll be fine up there. The casual assumption that I'd just roll over left me speechless for a moment. This was the same son whose failed tech startup I'd bailed out twice, whose rent I'd covered when his revolutionary app idea crashed and burned, whose wedding I'd paid for when he couldn't scrape together the deposit. Derek, I bought this place to enjoy my retirement. I'm not running a hotel for Melissa's family. His voice turned cold in a way that reminded me of his mother during our divorce negotiations 15 years ago. Look, Dad, you've got this huge cabin all to yourself. It's wasteful. And if you don't want to be reasonable about sharing it, well, maybe it's too much responsibility for someone your age. Living alone up there in the mountains, what if something happens? Maybe it's time to consider assisted living. The threat hung there like smoke from a campfire. My 30-year-old son was essentially telling me to accommodate his in-laws or face abandonment. Again, I see, I said quietly, and what if I refuse? Then I guess we'll have to reconsider how much help you actually need. Managing all that property, maintaining the equipment, dealing with contractors. Maybe it's too much for someone pushing 60. After I hung up, I sat on my deck watching the sunset paint the mountains in shades of gold and purple. The beauty should have been healing, but all I could think about was the smugness in Derek's voice. He thought he'd cornered me. Thought I was just another helpless old man who'd caved to emotional blackmail. What Derek didn't know, what I'd learned in 30 years of engineering projects, was that the best solutions come from understanding the problem completely before you start building. And my son had just given me all the information I needed. The next morning, I started preparing for their arrival, but not in the way they expected. I woke up to the sound of car doors slamming and voices echoing across the mountain air. Apparently, Melissa's family had decided to arrive at 7 a.m. without warning, because why would they consider that the homeowner might want advance notice? From my workshop window, the building sat about 50 yards behind the main cabin. Giving me a clear view of the driveway, I watched a convoy of rental SUVs unload what looked like a small army. Melissa directed traffic like a general deploying troops, pointing toward different entrances and barking orders about luggage distribution. Her parents emerged from the lead vehicle, both wearing those aggressively casual vacation outfits that scream we're here to be served. What struck me most was how comfortable they all seemed. No hesitation, no glances toward the house, wondering if they should knock first. They moved like people who'd been told this was their space now. I put on my flannel shirt and headed across the gravel path from my workshop to the main cabin, curious to see how they'd handle actually encountering the homeowner. Oh, Melissa startled when she saw me coming through the kitchen door, then quickly recovered. Rick, Derek said you'd moved upstairs already. Good. The master suite gets the best morning light, and Mom has arthritis, so she really needs the ground floor bedroom. Her parents swept past me without introduction, wheeling their suitcases down the hall toward my bedroom like they were checking into a resort. Melissa's brother Kyle corralled his 2 teenagers toward the guest bedrooms on the 2nd floor, while her sister claimed the den with the pull-out sofa. Coffee's in the kitchen, I said mildly. Help yourselves. Oh, we brought our own supplies, Melissa chirped, opening my pantry and beginning to rearrange my carefully organized shelves. Mom's on a special diet, and the kids are picky eaters. We'll just need you to clear out some refrigerator space. I watched her pile my groceries into a cardboard box like she was cleaning out an employee's desk. The audacity was almost impressive, almost. "Where would you like me to put these?" I asked, holding up my displaced food. "The garage fridge should be fine. Derek said you had one out there." Of course, Derek had given them a complete inventory of my property. I wondered what else he'd shared during their planning sessions. By noon, my cabin had been completely transformed. Pool inflatables cluttered the deck, wet towels draped over my handcrafted furniture, and the kitchen looked like a tornado had hit it. Melissa's mother, Brenda, held court at my dining table, complaining loudly about the water pressure while her husband critiqued my satellite TV package. Rick, Brenda's husband, called out, "We're going to need the Wi-Fi password. And do you have any of those little cocktail napkins? The kids are making smoothies." The casual expectation that I'd serve as their personal concierge was breathtaking, but I just smiled and provided the password, then excused myself to the workshop, where I spent the afternoon making phone calls that would change everything. The first call was to Amanda Wilson, my attorney who'd handled the cabin purchase. "Amanda, I need you to pull the deed on the Colorado property. Specifically, I need to confirm the exact legal ownership structure." The second call was to my accountant who'd structured the purchase for optimal tax benefits. "Jim, remember how we set up the cabin purchase? Walk me through the ownership details again." The third call was to Trevor Garcia, a private investigator I'd used during some messy contract disputes. "Trevor, I need a background check run on some house guests. Full financial workup, employment history, the works. Yes, I'll pay your rush fee." By dinner time, while Melissa's clan devoured steaks, they'd helped themselves too. From my freezer, I had all the information I needed. But I wasn't ready to play my cards yet. Better to let them get truly comfortable first. That night, as I lay in the small guest room listening to 9 people enjoy my cabin below me, I smiled in the darkness. Tomorrow would bring the first surprise. I woke up to find my coffee maker occupied by a line of Melissa's relatives treating my kitchen like a hotel breakfast buffet. Brenda had taken over my entire counter space to prepare what appeared to be a gluten-free, dairy-free feast for her various dietary restrictions. "Oh, Rick," she said without looking up, "we're going to need you to run to town. Kyle's girlfriend is lactose intolerant, and the kids are allergic to literally everything." I made a list. She handed me a 3-page shopping list written in the demanding script of someone accustomed to being obeyed. Items like organic coconut milk, the expensive kind, not that watery stuff, and gluten-free bread that doesn't taste like cardboard, good luck, were highlighted in different colors according to urgency. The casual assumption that I'd become their unpaid grocery service was remarkable even by my family's standards. But instead of arguing, I took the list and headed for town. What they didn't know was that I had my own errands to run. My first stop was the hardware store where I purchased several motion-activated trail cameras, the kind hunters used to monitor deer trails. Next, I visited the county clerk's office to discuss some changes to my property registration. Then a quick trip to my bank where I had a fascinating conversation with the manager about account security features. By the time I returned with their groceries, Melissa's crew had made themselves even more at home. Kyle had rearranged my living room furniture to optimize TV viewing while the teenagers had discovered my workshop and were exploring my expensive tools. I found them handling my precision measuring equipment like toys. "Careful with that," I said mildly, taking the digital caliper from one of the kids. "That cost more than your parents' car payment." The teenager rolled his eyes and wandered off to find something else to mess with. "Oh good, you're back," Melissa said, not bothering to help with the bags. "We're planning a big barbecue tomorrow night. About 25 people, Derek's college buddies, some locals we've met, a few business contacts. You'll need to get steaks, hamburgers, hot dogs, all the sides. I sent you a text with the details. 25 people in my cabin without my permission." "That sounds like quite a party," I said evenly. "It's going to be amazing. We're really going to put this place on the map." Derek said, "You never entertained much, so it's probably good to get some real use out of this kitchen." I noticed she'd already started moving my personal items out of the common areas. Family photos, my books, even my late mother's antique clock had been temporarily relocated to make room for their vacation aesthetic. That evening, while they planned their party from my deck chairs, I made another round of phone calls from the workshop. This time to some old business contacts who owed me favors. "Big favors, Brady, it's Rick Coleman. Yes, I know I'm retired, but I need a favor. How quickly can your catering company handle a last-minute event? 25 people tomorrow night. Money's no object, but there's a catch." The next morning brought a flurry of activity as Melissa's family prepared for their grand party. They'd invited half the mountain community, promising premium steaks and top-shelf liquor in my cabin. Brenda spent the morning criticizing my kitchen organization while simultaneously taking over every surface for party prep. Around noon, I heard Derek's voice from the driveway and went to the window. He'd arrived with even more guests, college buddies who'd apparently been promised a weekend at the family mountain house. The casual way he distributed my spare keys to people I'd never met was particularly impressive. "Dad," he called out when he saw me, "there you are. Hope you're ready for a real party. We've got some important people coming tonight. Business networking, this cabin is perfect for making connections. Important people in my cabin for Derek's networking opportunities." The irony was delicious. I spent the afternoon on the deck reading and watching their preparations with the detached interest of someone studying an interesting social experiment. They'd completely taken over, transforming my peaceful retreat into party central, never once asking if I minded having my home invaded by strangers. Around 5 p.m., I excused myself to get ready for the evening. After all, I wouldn't want to miss their big party. What they didn't know was that I'd prepared a few surprises of my own. By 6 p.m., vehicles lined my driveway like a luxury car lot. Mercedes, BMWs, and Range Rovers belonging to the important people Derek had invited to network at his father's expense. I watched from my upstairs window as strangers wandered through my garden, helped themselves to drinks from my bar, and settled into my furniture like they owned it. Melissa had outdone herself with the decorations, creating what she called mountain house chic by rearranging 30 years' worth of my collected treasures. My grandfather's quilts were now casual throw blankets. My engineering awards had been tucked away as too corporate, and she'd actually moved my personal photographs to the closet so they wouldn't clutter the aesthetic. The final insult came when I saw Derek giving someone a tour, describing the cabin as the family property and casually mentioning that he was handling all the management decisions now that I was getting on in years. Getting on in years, at 58, I chose my outfit carefully for the evening. A simple button-down shirt that had served me well during hostile contract negotiations. If you're going to deliver devastating news, you might as well look professional doing it. The party was in full swing when I made my entrance. Derek held court on the deck, regaling his audience with stories about acquiring the mountain cabin and his plans for maximizing the property's potential. Melissa flitted between groups, playing hostess with impressive confidence for someone who'd never paid a dime toward the mortgage. "Rick," Brenda spotted me first, her voice carrying that particular tone reserved for inconvenient elderly relatives. "There you are, dear. Could you check on the appetizers? I think they're running low." Of course, even at my own party, I was expected to serve as kitchen staff. Instead, I walked to the center of the deck and raised my voice just enough to catch everyone's attention. "Excuse me, everyone, if I could have just a moment." The conversations gradually died as 25-plus strangers turned to look at the man they'd been told was just the aging father who came with the property. "I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate with us tonight. It's wonderful to see so many new faces enjoying this beautiful property." Derek beamed, clearly pleased that his father was finally embracing his role as gracious host to his networking event. "Before we continue," I said, pulling out my phone, "I have a few quick announcements." That's when the catering truck pulled into my driveway. Not the small, discreet catering van you might expect for a mountain barbecue. This was Brady Foster's premium event services, complete with uniformed staff, a full mobile kitchen, and enough equipment to service a corporate gala. "What's that?" Melissa asked, her hostess smile faltering slightly. "Oh, that's dinner," I said cheerfully. "I thought since we were having such a large party, we should do it right. Prime rib, lobster tails, champagne service, the works." Derek's expression shifted from pleased to confused to worried in the span of 10 seconds. Premium catering for 25 people wasn't cheap, and he was apparently doing math in his head. "Dad, we already bought steaks." "Oh, don't worry about those. We'll save them for another time." I turned to address the crowd again. "The catering staff will be setting up shortly, so if everyone could just give them some space to work." Brady Foster himself approached, clipboard in hand, wearing the kind of satisfied expression that comes from being paid double his usual rate for a rush job. "Mr. Coleman, where would you like the champagne station?" "The champagne station?" Derek's voice cracked slightly. "Right by the fire pit, Brady. And make sure everyone gets the good stuff, Dom Perignon, not the house champagne." I could feel the crowd's energy shift from casual party to something more expensive. These were people who recognized quality when they heard it, and Dom Perignon was definitely not backyard barbecue fare. The catering staff moved with military precision, transforming my deck into an elegant dining area complete with linens, crystal, and silver service. Within 30 minutes, what had been a casual cookout became a high-end dinner party with a price tag that would make most people's mortgage payments look reasonable. "Dad." Derek pulled me aside, his networking smile replaced by panic. "What's this going to cost?" I smiled sweetly. "Don't worry, son, it's all taken care of." What I didn't tell him was exactly how it was being taken care of. That revelation would come later. For now, I was content to watch 25 strangers enjoy a $15,000 dinner party, while my son slowly realized he might not be as in control of the situation as he'd thought. The morning after the party brought a reckoning that was almost worth the champagne hangover. I found Derek and Melissa huddled over their phones at my dining table, frantically calling credit card companies and checking bank balances while surrounded by the remnants of last night's extravaganza. Empty Dom Perignon bottles lined the counter like expensive soldiers, while the catering bill, which I'd left conveniently on the kitchen island, created a paper trail of fiscal reality that had apparently sobered them both considerably. 15,000, Melissa whispered, staring at the invoice like it might spontaneously combust for one dinner party. Derek was on his third phone call to his bank, trying to explain why he needed his credit limit raised by exactly $15,000. The conversations weren't going well. "Good morning," I said brightly, pouring myself coffee from the expensive machine they'd commandeered 4 days ago. "How's everyone feeling after the big party?" "Dad, we need to talk." Derek's voice had the strained quality of a man watching his financial future circle the drain. "About that catering bill. Oh, wasn't it wonderful?" Everyone raved about the lobster. Brady really outdid himself. We can't afford $15,000 for one dinner party. I tilted my head thoughtfully. That's strange. I was under the impression you were handling all the management decisions for this property now. At least that's what you told all those nice people last night. The color drained from his face as the implications sank in. If he'd publicly claimed management authority for the cabin, then logically he'd be responsible for its expenses as well. But Dad, I never actually said, "Oh, but you did." Several people mentioned how impressive it was that someone your age had acquired such a beautiful property and was managing it so professionally. I took a sip of coffee, savoring both the blend and the moment. They were particularly interested in your business model. Using family assets for networking events was quite innovative. Brenda chose that moment to emerge from my master bedroom, wearing my robe and carrying my favorite coffee mug. "Rick, dear, we're going to need fresh towels, and the Wi-Fi is running slowly. Can you call someone about that?" The casual entitlement was breathtaking, even after 4 days of constant examples. But before I could respond, my phone rang. "Rick Coleman. This is Janet Morrison from Mountain View Properties. I have some questions about the cabin listing." "Cabin listing?" I put the call on speaker, curious where this would lead. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Morrison, but I haven't listed any property for sale." "Oh, that's odd. We received an inquiry yesterday from a Derek Coleman claiming to represent the owner for a potential sale. He provided detailed information about the property and mentioned he was authorized to handle all real estate decisions." The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the wind through the pine trees outside. Derek's face had gone from worried to pure panic, while Melissa stared at him like he'd suddenly sprouted a second head. "I see," I said calmly. "Well, Mr. Coleman is not authorized to represent me in any real estate matters. If someone has been providing information about my property without permission, that's quite concerning. Should I file a report with the local authorities? Impersonating a property owner is a serious matter." Derek was making frantic no gestures, but I pretended not to notice. "Let me think about that and get back to you, Mrs. Morrison. Thank you for calling." After I hung up, the silence stretched until Brenda, oblivious to the tension, piped up again. "Rick, about those towels. Get out." The words came out quiet but clear as crystal. "Excuse me?" I said, "Get out, all of you. Pack your things and leave my cabin." Derek found his voice. "Dad, you can't be serious. We're family. Family doesn't impersonate each other to real estate agents. Family doesn't throw $15,000 parties on someone else's credit. And family certainly doesn't threaten nursing homes when they don't get their way." I walked to the front door and held it open. "You have 2 hours to collect your belongings and leave. If you're not gone by then, I'll be calling both the police and Mrs. Morrison back to file those reports." What happened next taught them more about consequences than they'd apparently learned in their entire lives. The exodus began immediately, but not in the organized fashion you might expect from people who'd spent 4 days treating my home like their personal resort. Instead, it devolved into a chaotic scramble of accusations, blame shifting, and desperate negotiations that would have been comical if it weren't so pathetic. Brenda emerged from my master bedroom, dragging her suitcase and muttering about ungrateful hosts and false advertising. Kyle's girlfriend loudly complained about having to cut their vacation short because of my unreasonable demands. The teenagers actually seemed relieved. Apparently, sharing space with so many adults hadn't been their idea of a good time either. But it was Derek's final reaction that surprised me most. Instead of apologizing or attempting to make amends, he doubled down on his entitlement. "You're making a huge mistake, Dad. Do you know who some of those people were last night? I was building valuable business relationships that could benefit the whole family. The whole family. You mean the family you threatened to dump in assisted living if I didn't comply with your demands? Melissa tried a different approach, switching to her most manipulative voice. Rick, I think we got off on the wrong foot here. Maybe we can work something out. Split the cabin time, shared expenses. Shared expenses, like the $15,000 you can't afford to pay, or the groceries I bought for your family's special diets, or perhaps the utility bills that tripled when 9 people moved in. That's when Derek played what he clearly thought was his ace card. Fine, but you're going to regret this. You think you can just live in this huge cabin all alone at your age. What happens when you fall? When you can't manage the upkeep, you're going to need family, and we won't be there. The threat hung in the air like smoke, and I could see him thinking he'd won, that he'd successfully backed me into a corner with the specter of elderly helplessness and isolation. The final 20 minutes of their departure played out in a blur of slamming car doors and muttered threats about lawyers and family loyalty. But as the last rental car disappeared down my driveway, something interesting happened. I walked back into my cabin, and felt a peace I hadn't experienced since selling my company. The quiet wasn't empty, it was full of possibility. I poured myself another cup of coffee and walked out to my workshop, where half-finished projects waited for my attention. Over the next few weeks, I established routines I'd been dreaming about for years. Morning coffee on the deck while watching deer graze in the meadow. Afternoons in the workshop, finally building those furniture pieces I'd been sketching. Evenings by the fire, reading books I'd bought but never had time for. Derek sent one final email through his attorney. A formal apology that requested visitation rights and suggested family counseling. I had Amanda Wilson respond with a simple statement. Mr. Coleman has moved on with his life and wishes you well in yours, because that's exactly what I'd done. I'd moved on to a life where my independence was respected. My decisions were my own, and family meant people who loved me rather than people who wanted to control me. Some days, sitting on my deck watching the sunrise over the mountains, I felt a twinge of sadness for the son I'd lost. But mostly, I felt gratitude for the life I'd saved, my own. The mountain cabin became everything I dreamed it would be, minus a place of peace, craftsmanship, and genuine solitude. Just not for the family I'd originally intended to share it with. Sometimes the best family is the one you choose rather than the one you're born with. And sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to enable someone else's worst impulses, even when that someone is your own child. If you're dealing with entitled adult children, remember this. Respect isn't given because of blood relations. It's earned through actions. And if someone won't respect your boundaries, family or not, it's time to enforce them. Thanks for listening to my story. Your boundaries aren't suggestions. They're the foundation of self-respect, and teaching others to honor them is sometimes the most loving thing you can do. Real wealth isn't just what you've earned, it's protecting what matters most, your peace of mind and the right to live life on your own terms.